Welcome. Now today I thought it would be great to celebrate 20,000 subscribers and just celebrate it with an end of December question and answer. So if this is your first time here, my name is Robyn. I help overwhelmed people simplify their lives through organization, productivity, and creating an environment where they can thrive. So grab your tea and let's go. Okay, so straight into the first question. How do you decorate for the holidays on a budget starting at ground zero? We have no holiday decorations, not even a Christmas tree. Is a Christmas tree a must? My advice to you is to start small. Now, you do not need a Christmas tree. You can use any decorations you like, and maybe something that you are drawn to, something that gives you a happy feeling. Now, when I first started my own Christmas decoration journey years ago when I was single and I bought my own decorations, somebody gave me a tree. It was an old fake tree and it was great. And I had a few other decorations I bought. I remember going to like Walmart or some other store and just getting a few things, and I was happy with that. But I have since then decluttered some of those things just because I don't need them anymore. And I like different things now. So my suggestion would be start small, maybe get a few quality things and then you won't end up decluttering them later, but do what you like. Susie asks, how do you get your husband to be tidy and to throw things out? So for me, I started by leading by example. And my husband actually just sort of started being a bit more minimal. Like he just sort of picked it up. I honestly didn't even expect him to. He certainly was maybe concerned at the amount of things I was decluttering, but I would say, but do you use this? Do you really like it? You know, I won't declutter it if you don't use it. And he'd be like, no, it's fine. So neither of us came with a ton of sentimental things from our childhood. There were some, and I did declutter a few boxes from under our stairs this summer. But he, over time, just sort of learned how to be minimal just by following me as I was learning how to be minimal. So my advice is just to lead by example and hope that they follow. Salt Light Farm asks, we live in Maine and have been building a hobby farm homestead, milk, goats, chicken, ducks, a few barn cats, gardens, and fruit trees. We live on a one-level, 1,450 square foot house, 3 adults, 2 kids. No complaining, just explaining, which is great. No basement or attic. Now, I struggle with keeping things just in case, mostly outside farm stuff, buckets, fencing pieces. But how do I prioritize my husband's desire for self-sufficiency and my desire to lower our inventory, knowing we may need and use a lot of these items? And it's not always convenient to run out and get them or financially possible. You are kind of in a bit of a different situation because you are on a farm where many things are needed, and they're needed often at the drop of a hat and often on a whim. So I don't usually suggest people keep things just in case. What I would say to you and your husband is to say, do I really think we would be using this in the foreseeable future, like within the next year? Or if you had plans to build a garden and you're really, I know you have one, but to build a garden and you're really good on following through on the things that you do, and you were like, no, we're going to build it in a year, I'd say, well, set that stuff aside. So is there a place where you can put things sort of just like maybe behind a shed or something, where you can put things that you're not going to see, but you're pretty sure you will use them in the future? And then for other things, if you're like, I really don't think we'll use it, I just want to keep it just in case, those are the things I would consider decluttering. Now remember, Ryan Nicodemus from the Minimalist, he always says, if you can replace it for less than $20 in less than 20 minutes, to declutter it. Well, if it's something where if it's more than $20 and you're thinking you will use it one day, well, then you probably should keep it, especially because it's a farm. But explain to your husband your desires about having less clutter and how ultimately it just makes people feel better, and you can explain just stress level and all of that. I hope that helps. Now, Helen asks, do people from Nanaimo enjoy the bars as much as the rest of us, or are they just common like squirrels? Well, some of us really like it, but I know some people that don't. But I love them. Rachel asks, what are your favorite outside winter traditions? I live in Minnesota. My family loves ice skating on a neighborhood pond. So for me, I wish I could skate on a neighborhood pond when I was a kid. We would go skating on a lake in Calgary, Alberta, where my grandparents used to live. But here it's actually pretty mild. It did snow the other day, which was amazing, but within, half the day it turns to slush. So what I like to do is go to a local nearby mountain that's higher on the mountain we live on. I love to go cross-country skiing, but I also really love to go for walks and hikes. And it's funny because I don't do nearly as many walks and hikes in the summer as I do in the winter and the fall. I love it. And the early spring. It's just funny. I don't really like heat that much. So for me, yeah, like walks and hikes, things like that. What products do you use for your curls and for your rosacea? So I thought I will wear my hair down for this one because you can see that I have curls. I actually get this question more often than you would think. So I use Sap Moss shampoo and conditioner by Aveda. It doesn't sound good. It smells pretty good. It's not as good as some of the amazing Aveda things, but I really love it. A good conditioner and shampoo. But to style, I use much less expensive things. I use Suave conditioner as a leave-in. I actually have to go to the dollar store to find it here. And then I use Pantene Curl Mousse and then Aussie Headstrong Gel just to sort of set it afterwards. And for my rosacea, my skin, that is a struggle. Now I have to watch a lot of things. Alcohol I consume, which is fine. I really have to be careful with caffeine in particular, especially coffee. If I have coffee, I get, even if it's decaf, I start getting like red spots and stuff. So unfortunately, I think that's something I have to be careful with. I am waiting for some azelaic acid to come in the mail, and I'm going to see if that helps. I think it used to be available here, but now it isn't, so I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be by prescription. I ordered it from the States, so we will see. Ibana Whom says, nursing/health related question, ever dealt with food sensitivity? So I definitely find that, okay, I'm gonna have to move my cup because Pumpkin he's like, Pumpkin, I love you, but why are you so mischievous? So back to the question. Like I said, coffee, I have to be so careful with, just with my face, which is such a bummer. I love it. And even just decaf, I was like, I'm happy with decaf. I just like the flavor, but no, I have to be careful. And peanut butter. So peanut butter also, I think, affects my face a little bit, but also it affects my throat and it kind of makes it a little bit itchy. I love it. I literally eat it every day, but I have to have something afterwards to sort of wash it out of my throat, and then it seems okay. But I do need to be looking into more of the food for my skin problems. Now, Paula asks, hi, I live in Mexico and I love your videos. My questions are you currently working as an ER nurse? And also, could you talk a little bit about how to make others living in your house adopt the mindset of minimalism? First thing, you can't make other people adopt the minimalist mindset. But like I said before, you can lead by example. My husband is way better than he was before. And the thing about him is like his love language is gift giving, and that has improved so much over the last few years. And he now sees the problem with giving too much. And my kids initially, they seemed more resistant, but I suspect they will be more minimalist than a lot of people as adults. So I'm happy about that. And like I said, it takes time. Like you just start, just sort of do it. And then just let's see what happens with your family. They may be resistant at first, like they may be kind of grumpy about it at first. I also still am an urgent care nurse. I left the emergency department a few years ago. It was just kind of too triggering with some past experiences I had had when I was a police dispatcher, but I have been working as a casual part-time hours ever since I graduated nursing school. So casual nursing has been great because I can really work it around my husband's schedule. Casey Roy asks, how often do you work your nursing job and find time to film videos? I have been working a little bit less so that I can have the time for the videos because I love helping people with clutter, stress, and making an environment where they can thrive. So I want to help people everywhere. Like in both of my jobs, I love it. I love being a nurse. I love, assessing people and talking to them. And I always want to know where people are from. Like, let me know in the comments where you're from. I love knowing where people are from. But I also really love doing YouTube. And I was working a bit too much there for a while and I wasn't taking days off, but I have found more of a balance. And I feel like at this point in time, I get so many people telling me how much I am helping them with the videos that I really am trying to nurture that a little bit because I love seeing people taking control of their environments and their lives. So Wonder Woman says, it's Wonder Woman says, I am struggling with whole house clutter anxiety. I started with my bedroom clutter as it really bothers me, but the kitchen also bothers me. So I've been doing some drawers and cupboards in there. Now my daughter has asked for help to declutter and reorganize her room to make it easier to manage. Now, I haven't been keeping on top of clutter for the last few years, and it's become out of hand. So there's so much to do in every room. I seem to be going from one room to the next without ever completing one. And sometimes when I go to rehome something that doesn't belong there, there's no space. So I feel like I have to start decluttering in the new home first. Do you have any tips for when your whole house needs attention so that you can feel like you're making real progress? So my advice to you is remove as much as you can. Now, it can get hard getting started analyzing everything. Now, in my Simplified Your Home course, I discuss my method of how to work at it every day and the method and the way to make it fun. Now, this is for overwhelmed people who really need that extra bit of help and want more support from me. But you can do this on your own. Just be consistent. Have a box to donate and drop it off every week. This is always what I say. Drop it off every week. If you're doing a lot of donating or a lot of decluttering, take it to the donation center every week. And if you are certain you want to keep something, put it in a box in the room where it should go if there's no room to put it there. And then keep working in the same space where you already were. So just try to stay on track where you were. Finish that area. If you have something that needs to go, say, in the dining room, put it in a box in the dining room, tuck it around the corner if you can. Like if you're sure you want to keep it, that is what my suggestion would be, to keep and then finish one space at a time. Because when you get a space finished, that is a great win for you and you will feel so good. So Sarah says, sorry, it's a long story. I have clothes in my closet I wore before having my daughter. They are my favorite simple pieces like t-shirts and shorts that I live in during the summer. I have been losing weight, 15 kilograms so far. That's so awesome. And my goal is another 15 kilograms. So some of the clothes I have kept almost fit and some are now too big and I've decluttered them, which is great. All the usual information on clothes is that if it's not fitting right now, I should declutter it. But is it reasonable to keep those items for next year when they will fit? So for me, I would say I don't see any reason to declutter those things now. You are actively working at getting healthier and you are doing so good. You are being consistent, you're staying on track, and you are actively losing weight. So I would definitely hold on to those clothes. Keep up the good work, reevaluate in 6 months. If you're still losing weight, that's awesome. Now, Marlene says, I know in one of your videos you mentioned a couple of things really quick, but can you tell us some of your favorite dishes, desserts, etc. that you like to make at Christmas time? So we can copy you, haha. Let me get my book. Ooh, okay, I'm back. So I have discussed my Christmas control journal before, and here are a couple of the things that I love to make. So shortbread, this is my favorite baking. Shortbread, Jell-O. So the Jell-O is the Pioneer Woman's Christmas Jell-O. It is delicious. If you bring it somewhere, people will be so impressed. It literally is so easy. It just takes a bit of time because you have to wait for the Jell-O to set up, but it's so good. Gingerbread. Now, I don't make all of these every year. I definitely always will make the vanilla krantz, the cranberry squares. I don't make all of the time speculoos. I always make sausage rolls, which I got the recipe from my mother-in-law. Okay, and then some of the other things that I love to make are nuts and bolts, which my friend Mary Beth from At What Cost YouTube channel says is called party mix in the States. I thought it was called nuts and bolts, but maybe that's a Canadian thing. And then we love to have like a cheese tray. I buy, some delicious cream cheese with herbs in it, maybe some sliced meat, some crackers, antipasto, capers, delicious things like that. Vanessa says, what do you plan for Christmas? Do you cook once and have leftovers? Do you switch? What is more minimalist? Cooking once, etc., or make little so that we do not waste. Now, I don't aim to be minimalist at everything. For me, it's just sort of about simplifying life as much as I can so that I can enjoy it. And I think that's probably what you mean. So for me, I'm really excited. We are making a beef Wellington and I haven't looked at the leftovers yet from that. But when I make a turkey, I often look at the things that I can make with the leftovers. And then I make sure that I have those ingredients on hand. So I'm assuming there might be a few leftovers with the beef Wellington, but we probably will just eat it normally. I love, like in my family, leftovers from a turkey dinner was usually just eating turkey dinner every single day. But in the past, I've mentioned Pioneer Woman before in this video, but also she had a good video once on using turkey leftovers. So I have made some of those recipes. I think the turkey tetrazzini was one I made and it was really good. And I just make sure I have the ingredients on hand. Jennifer asks, sentimental items. What questions or rules for yourself do you have when deciding what to keep? What type of things do you find most sentimental? So for me, some of the hardest things declutter can be sentimental, and I think that's for everybody. This is also a big section in the Simplify Your Home course. And I have a whole lesson on this, and I will be delivering it live because this is such a big topic. So what I recommend evaluating is if something is a treasure, a random item, or toxic. Now, treasures can be very special and they usually cannot be replaced. They are few and far between, and Peter Walsh, the famous declutter guru, says that you should be able to fit all of your treasures on your dining room table. And random things, they're just random. You don't always know where they come from, or they might give you a chuckle or a memory. And then of course the toxic items are things that need to go. They don't bring happy memories, but for some reason you have kept them. Now for me, some of the most sentimental things are usually things that my kids have from when they were babies. And for me, I just sort of tried to neutralize the feeling that I have with those things by sort of like putting it in a box, reevaluating it later, and if it's still hard for me to let go, I hold on for a little bit. But that is a big subject. Hawk Strong asks, how do you create a family holiday ritual tradition? It's just my husband and I, and both of us are terrible at celebrating and sadly not creative. Long story short, our families didn't celebrate holidays. We need help in creating a family holiday tradition for our small family of 2. Please help. I just think it's wonderful that you guys have a gift of being able to start new traditions. And for me, I would choose 1 or 2 things that really appeal to you. Maybe one activity, like my family, we love to go to this amazing garden and look at these lights. Maybe choose like one food that you really want to have and then make it a tradition to keep having that food. And maybe just one item of decor that you make sort of more of a ceremony about putting out. Just start small and see what you love. Sarah says, Robyn, what was your light bulb moment that made you switch to becoming minimalism? Now, I think it was once when I was at a hotel room. And I remember thinking it is just so easy to manage everything. I realized that I was not happy with all of the stuff at home. Anytime we would go somewhere, like even if we rented a cabin, there was just so much less to manage. Like you would do the dishes and then you were like, well, I'm done. Laundry was one thing you don't do when you're on vacation usually, but the rest of it was so easy to manage with less stuff. So I just found it was so much easier to live as a minimalist, and I just haven't looked back. It's not been easy with all of the family and the kids, and some people, they just don't understand it. Now, Katie says, developmental toys, how many to keep? Do you even bother with them? I know your kids are older, but if you could do it again, what would you buy, skip, and how many would you use at each stage? Baby girl, 6 months. So I would suggest only having a few on hand and then just rotating them. So kids will be so happy to have something new to play with all of the time. Like honestly, my cats are like that too. Like if you put something away and you get it out again, your kids will be like, what is this? Or, oh yes, I love this toy. They will play with it. But if it's always sitting out, they will forget about it. They will get bored and it will just be, that's how you get in the cycle of buying too many toys. So thank you so much for watching this. If you want to see how I started minimalism and my whole backstory for that, click this video here and I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching and thank you for your questions.